guess that determines, don't waste your time trying cuttings on older growth. Go to the new growth. And this is 6 weeks, perlite, misting system, hormone 3. Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I know enough to be dangerous farm. My name is Rob, and today's a rainy day, so we won't be doing anything outside probably. So we'll do a couple honeydews inside the greenhouse. If you watch my previous videos, you know we were making some cuttings about 6 weeks ago. I've been checking them. There's some things that just need to be left alone, and then there's other things. What I like to do is go through the trays about 6 weeks in and then just do a little pull test and see who's starting to root, who's got callus on them. Callus is just like a scarring over of the wound we made when we made the cuttings, basically just what it's called. And basically to check in on the river birch, which is historically really difficult to root, and I've found out why. So let's take a look at what we have. So like I said, I like to do the little pull test, I call it, and that is take a tray, and you can see the big difference between these two trays. This is the river birch, and these are Forsythia. Obviously, these are done, except for I guess two I might just transfer to a different tray, because if I leave all this dead litter, it'll start molding and producing spores, and I don't want everything else getting contaminated. So we're 6 weeks in, and my pull test is, let me see if I can get you pulled in here. So the pull test is, if it has some resistance, I know it has roots. Like this one has leaf. Well, this is obviously, this didn't do anything. Like most of these, and I'll do a little pull test on there. There's no resistance. It does have a green leaf and a new leaf, but I don't see anything. I don't think it's worth. I might just stick it in here just to, and be careful when you stick it back in. If it does have little roots, you'll shear them off basically if you do that. Let's check this one out. Okay, so this is what you want to see. Looks like a little teeny tiny tree. So what we're going to do is we're going to pot that up, and let's check. We got one more with leaves on it. Let's do a little pull test. There's nothing. As you can see, it is starting to have little root nodes. So I think I'm going to transfer this over here. Maybe make a little hole. Get that out of there. And then just basically plant it in that perlite again. And they can still keep going with these guys. This is obviously garbage. And so what I have, I'm going to count. I already potted this one up. So this had good root structure. Let me pot this one up, and again, you don't just want to shove it in there. There are tools for this, but sometimes your hand is the best tool, and especially with cuttings, I find my hand's the best tool. Make a little hole. Don't plant it too deep. Plant it up to basically the last root, and then pack it in. So you're asking what was success rate. It doesn't look very good. And I agree, it doesn't look very good. So I had 100 cuttings, got 2, maybe 4, but we're going to count the ones that actually rooted. Our success rate was 2%. So not very good, but we will have saleable plants next year. So this whole tray will get thrown away. And it breaks my heart. I throw the perlite away too, just because I don't want to recycle this unless I'm planting outside or something. To put it in a container, I run the risk of there's being some sort of disease or something funky in here, and then it'll be contaminated to the next tray. So you never want to reuse your perlite unless you're putting it outside in a planting area. But I will put this in a mound and leave it and let it doesn't decompose, but I'll just let it chew on each other. And I put some old soil and dead plants in this certain spot, kind of a quarantine type deal, and then I use it for various things, but not planting anymore. So these are Forsythia. These were planted, or cuttings were made about 6 weeks ago. So let's Historically, these are pretty easy to root. Obviously, you can see the difference in these two plants. That's obviously garbage, but let's do the pull test. This is a really old piece of woody stem that I wanted to just check, so it feels like some resistance, but yeah, not much. I'm gonna let that cook some more. I'm gonna let these, I say cook, but stay in the cutting area more because they still look very healthy. And these are my two Birch I just put. Here's another big old woody stem, and you can see that I have some roots coming there. I don't want to knock off all the perlite because that'll damage the roots, but this probably wouldn't be one that but they're nice and white, healthy roots. This would probably be something I'd put back just to get a little bit more. Well, here's a good one. This one I'm tugging pretty good on this one, and it is not coming out. Wow. Now this one's gone crazy. So look at that. So this is a great demonstration on this cutting was made on this year's growth. This cutting was made on old wood. It's still trying. This one's old wood. This is hard to see any result except for the top being green. Here's another. Well, look at this. These were on this year's growth. So what do you think? Guess that determines don't waste your time trying cuttings on older growth. Go to the new growth. And this is 6 weeks, perlite, misting system, hormone 3. They're all the same. Just look at that. All right, let's pot these up. So I don't know if I'm going to waste my time with stuff like this. I know it looks green, but there is no signs of it trying to throw a root. It's calloused over, but it's not doing anything else. So I think this will be garbage. We'll put these in 1-gallon pots. Look at all these. See, that one was right next. This one was right next to the one that has all sorts of crazy roots. There's nothing on this one. This one's all sorts of nice. So let's pot some of these up. So I'm back. So what we're doing is we're potting into a trade gallon. 1-gallon size is what it's called. Use TO Plastics 1-gallon size. I always recommend. It's just a better container. And the scoopers we're using are these two. This one I like better because it's flat on the bottom, and you can clean your bench as you go. This one's rounded, so it's not as clean, but this plastic one will wear down, so you'll see me using both. And so here's our plant material that we just had. Don't have these out drying out. Like on a nice sunny day, I wouldn't have these on the bench. I would have kept them in the perlite, and then I'll just pull from now. I'll take this tray of cuttings and just pull the good ones and pot them up, and then we'll put them in our sale section for next year and take care of them. So this soil, I've been years and years experimenting with soil. Don't call it dirt. Your soil science teacher will get mad at you. What it is softwood mulch or bark, ground up, triple ground softwood bark. It's got to be softwood. Don't use hardwood. I know it's easier to get, but it'll tie up nitrogen as it decomposes. And I use some peat moss and perlite in there, but depending on how much the bark is decomposed, it will depend on how much perlite and any other aggregate I can put. Not aggregate, but for drainage I use perlite. It's expensive, but it's clean. So the ratio is probably 75% bark mulch, and the rest is either perlite or peat moss. And that's what we do. That's the best thing I've had is, it's weed-free material. It's the best thing. I've struggled for years with peat-based soil mixes that everybody sells, and it just, for the type of material I'm selling, I'm not selling flowers, okay? So I'm selling woody plants, mostly evergreens, obviously not these, but this will hold moisture, it will drain, and it has organic matter, and then I put the slow release fertilizer on top. So what I'll do is I'll fill it up, 2/3 almost all the way. Take a nice little plant. Don't jam it in there. Make a little hole for it. Have it nest in there. I just made a little hole with my finger. Let it nest in there. Don't jam it and break all those roots off. And that's it. Just right to the top of those roots. There's those bottom leaves. We probably could have taken those off. And then I like to leave a 1/2 inch on the top of the plant, on the top of the container like that, so it'll hold, fertilizer and water and everything. You put it all the way up here, you're wasting a lot of your soil that you don't need, and water will shed off, fertilizer will bounce off. So give yourself a little lip. This container actually has a little ridge right here, and that's what we fill it up to. So we'll go ahead and pot all these up and then take them over to where they're going to stay for a year. The other thing is I will center the plant. You don't have to do what you want, but it looks better, and then just pack it in nice and firm. It looks better to the person next year if this is centered and nice and aesthetically pleasing, believe it or not. If you have it off to the side or weeds in it or anything like that, people will walk right past it. Reason I like this scoop, it's like one scoop fills it up where I need it to go, and then another 1/2 scoop fills it up to the top. And the pull test, pretty confident that these are going to be rooted pretty good. Be careful when you pull them apart, you don't want to break anything, but here you go. And then the older wood actually has some, so we'll plant this guy. So I'm out of soil on my bench, and normally we'd use a little New Holland and just dump it, go out to the bin that we have it mixed, and then just dump it here, but it is raining pretty hard. I will get soaked. So what we'll do is we'll hold off on this, finishing these up, but so far we're doing pretty good. Out of almost half the tray, we only have like 4 that did not root, but they calloused over, and those 4 are from old wood. So I'll go through this and pot the rest of these up on a different day, but right now we're looking good. Okay, I'm back. Since Mother Nature's not cooperating, so we could pot up the rest of those cuttings, which normally I keep this full of potting soil for last minute decisions like this, but it just, with building the pole barn, it just hasn't happened. So we got an order to send out a tray of these are our cuttings from last year, and these are in a 5.5 square pot. So these in our this is a quick fire hydrangea we propagated last year, and we didn't do any this year because we had so many of these, so I don't want to get too many of one variety, but this is a really cool variety. Flowers most of the summer, takes direct sun, deer resistant, not deer proof, but deer resistant. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is repot these, and normally you would repot a smaller plant into a bigger plant, and what we're doing is putting a bigger plant into a smaller plant, and we're doing a round peg in a square hole pretty much. And the reason we're doing this is I can ship this without it getting damaged. I can't ship 1 gallons very well without them getting damaged. Now these used to be, well, we're going to see what they used to be. I think they're in a larger plug tray, so like a jump start, which is about a 2.5 inch hole plug, and they've been in here about a month. So let's see how much they've rooted through. Hopefully not too much. Okay, so the bottom fell off, which this plug was only this deep anyway. So what we'll do is you can see some of the roots have come to the outside. So we're gonna take off. Be very nice. Just go around take a little bit around the outside. Almost could call this root pruning, I guess. To get down to the size, make sure it fits in there, and we want to put a little bit in the bottom, and then put that in there nice. And again, leave yourself a little lip, but pack it in there. And here we go. See, Teoplastics. And we got to do 2 more to fill this tray out. So here's the differences between the 2 mixes. The one in my left hand, your right, is the mix we've always been using, and it comes out of Frankenstein, so it's nice and easy to fill all these containers. This is the new mix, which is doing a lot better as far as irrigation and not holding the water. See, this will stay. See, that's very wet. We don't want that. Most of these plants don't want that. They want this, and see how it just, falls apart. So we'll mix that together, and we will reuse that, but Pro Mix style potting mix in our 1 gallon mix, and then just thin it out a little bit. So let's see what this guy's got for us. See, they've all flowered out nice. Just tip it. I'm holding it like this, and then it looks good, but I think most of it's going to fall off too. Really can't tell what size plug it came out of, which is no big whoop, but so fill it about, I don't know, half full, just so it sits in there, not too deep, not too high. Get it in the center again. Fill up the corners. I pack that so it just kind of packs down in there. And now we need 1 more. And there's the fertilizers on there, so that'll fall in the mix, and all's good. We're not losing the fertilizer. But that one fell off too. And see how wet it is on the bottom, and that's the problem. It stays too wet on the bottom, even though these containers have drain holes and feet to keep them off the ground. Too wet. It's just way too wet. If this was another plant, you would see it stressing out. I think we're going to have to change our mum mix too, but it's way too late for that. And this is a garden center grower trick. Now I've put this into a smaller pot. It looks like a smaller plant. And so here's a pro tip. Here's a garden center trick. So these are the same plants, but this one looks bigger because it's in a bigger container, but it's the same plant. Which one would you buy? You're going to buy that one because it's in a bigger container. So just a little pro tip what they do. All marketing. Now this tray is good to go. So what we'll do is we have our box that we get our trays in each spring or fall, and we save these because we'll reuse this. I cut this down a little bit. We'll reuse this to send trays of plants out. So I'll just line it with basically a trash bag, and then we'll fit it right in there. It fits very snug. Very snug. And there we go. I'll put directional stickers this end up, and hopefully they will wind up this end up. But you know, if it gets damaged in shipping, we'll put stuff to hold down the tray on the bottom. But there's not much we can do if this thing gets tipped on its side. But that tray, that teal plastic tray, holds those 5.5-inch square pots. And we'll leave this open because it probably won't go out today. It'll go out tomorrow. And I don't want this all tied up. And another thing is your shipping plants. Try to ship on Monday, because if you ship on Thursday or Friday, you have a chance of these sitting in a metal truck or a metal warehouse that's not getting air conditioned. More than likely a metal truck ready to go for Monday. You don't want that, and that's with all live plants, anything perishable. So what we'll do is we'll ship this out, and it's going to Minnesota. Like I said, thanks for stopping by, and catch you next time. Take care.